Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking all about my 5-star reads today and tier ranking them. I feel like I haven't talked about my 5-star reads in a while, and then also I haven't tier ranked something in quite a while. So I'm pretty excited for today's video, but before we get into that, you're probably thinking, Katie, you look so cutie and cozy right now in those glasses, just tie your whole look together. Where are they from? And they're actually from the kind sponsor of today's video, which is Pair Eyewear. So thank you so much to Pair Eyewear for sponsoring today's video. Okay, take a look at this. Was that not the coolest thing you've ever seen? Pair Eyewear offers high quality, affordable glasses that you can actually put your prescription and blue light into. And if you're watching my channel for a while, you know how big of a blue light glasses girly I am. I wear them all the time because I feel like I'm constantly in front of my computer on the daily. The base frame that I have on right now is the Murphy in crystal clear. And I chose the Murphy just because I like more of like a bigger glasses shape on my face personally, but there are so many different styles to choose from. And what makes Pair Eyewear stand out, as you guys already saw, is their unique selection of top frames. And there's such a wide variety to choose from that there is something for everybody. There are little magnets in my base frame right here, and then there's also magnets in the top frames whenever you put them on. It's just that easy. This top frame is actually a part of the Van Gogh Museum collection, and I'm gonna try and not mess up the name of the top frame because it is French. This one specifically is called the View of Auvers-Sur-Oise. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. I think these are my current favorite. I just feel like they're so cool and unique. I've never seen anything like these before. You guys also know I am a big Disney girly, so I also have these ones in Rapunzel's flower crown, which is a part of their new Disney Princess collection. And it's just got really pretty flowers on it and then a little Rapunzel in the corner. And then if I'm going for something a little bit more plain, subdued, and simple, they've also got these ones in the color Spruce, which are just a pretty dark green color, and you guys know green is my favorite color, so I love these. Now the first step is finding your base frame, and they have a feature where you can virtually try them on, and you can pick your frames in the comfort of your own home and skip going to the store, which, let's be honest, is an anxiety-inducing hassle. And not only is it more convenient, but with the top frames, it's just more affordable. I literally have 4 pairs of glasses in one, and once you pick your choice of top frames, they get shipped to your door, and it's as simple as that. So if you guys want to get a new pair of glasses and try out Pair Eyewear, I have a link in the description for 15% off of your first pair of their already amazing prices. And thank you so much again to Pair Eyewear for sponsoring today's video. If you know me, if you know my reading taste, you will know I'm pretty picky about my 5-star reads, and there have only ever been 29 books out of all the books that I've read that I've ever rated a 5-star. And I've seen a few other creators do this video, and I just thought it'd be fun because it's weird now looking back at some of the books that I rated 5 stars in the past, and they just like aren't, you know? And it's also sometimes weird too because some 5 stars are more 5 stars than other 5 stars, if that made any sense. And there were also some 5 stars that kind of like snuck up on me. Like I thought about for a while and they wasn't like an initial 5-star, and then it kind of just grew to a 5-star because I couldn't stop thinking about it. Other ones to where it was just like a 5-star in that moment, but it doesn't really like hold up. Let's just get into the whatever they're called, the categories, and then we can talk about it more as we get into the video. We're gonna start from the bottom and work our way up, starting with just simply These are books where I'm just kind of like, why did I rate that 5 stars? Specifically looking back now, they might have been a 5-star in the moment, which is our next category. It's just 5-star at the time, especially like for nostalgia reasons. But the category are basically the ones that just don't even hold up to the test of nostalgia for me. Which I'll be honest, I don't know how many of the I'm gonna have, but I feel like it's important to have it there to distinguish which ones are which. And I feel like these are the 2 categories too where they really just aren't 5 stars anymore. Up from that, we have Sob Fest. I tend to cry a lot during books, and sometimes I think that I get a little confused for crying versus what I actually think of the book and what I'm actually rating it, and sometimes it just takes a little bit more time for me to like separate my crying and all those emotions to what I actually feel about it. Some of these might still be 5 stars, some of them might not be. I'll probably specify as we go along. Next up, we have Loved. These are 5 stars. These are books that I just like really enjoyed, really adored, and loved a lot, but then we have never shut up about. These are books that time and time again, I will literally just talk your guys' ear off all the time. These are books that I talk to Luke about all the time, to Brooke about all the time, to all my friends, to my family. Just, I never stop talking about them. And then up at the top, we have Soul Tide. Now, these are books that I feel like I'm going to want to reread years and years and years from now, books that I will never stop thinking about, books that will just forever be my one and only favorites. I guess not one and only, because there's gonna be multiple of them, I assume. But these are like my top tier. These are like my 6-star reads. I guess we can just go ahead and get into it. I don't know if I'm gonna like do them by the ones that are in order. I might just go off of ones that I know should be be in certain spots. It just kind of depends on what mood I'm in, I guess. I think I do want to start out with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, which is the first book in the Harry Potter series. You guys know I love Harry Potter. I literally have a Harry Potter dedicated shelf up there on my bookshelves. I feel like it's very nostalgic for me, not only the books, but also the movies, just the franchise as a whole. And it just brings me back to the time whenever I was reading them and like during COVID time. But I feel like the first one is more of a nostalgic read, if we're being honest. I think that's genuinely why I rated it 5 stars. I don't think it's like a perfect book. I don't think it's like a soul tie. Like I loved it and I really enjoyed it. It's just so cute and cozy and like I'm always gonna adore it so much. But I feel like it's just a 5-star read for nostalgic reasons. And then while we're here, we'll just do the other 2 5 stars that I have in the series, which is the 5th one, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and then the 7th and final book, which is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I don't know if this is a popular or unpopular opinion, but Order of the Phoenix is my favorite book from the entire series. I just loved it so much. It is the longest, but there was just so much detail and just so much going on, and I loved how they were like learning more about magic and really getting into more advanced thing in their skills with magic and everything going on. And it's really the start of like the turning point of the books. It starts to get a lot more dark than the other ones, because I feel like this is whenever things are really more like high stakes in general. I feel like the first ones were more, we're writing this for kids, and then as we just kept going and they kept growing up, they just kept getting darker and darker. I feel like Order of Phoenix is gonna have to go into loves. Like I love this book so much, but I genuinely feel like I don't really talk about the Harry Potter series that much, and it's not like a soul tie series for me, even though I do love it so much. I feel like Deathly Hallows, I don't know. I almost feel like it could go into 5-star at the time for nostalgia reasons, or it could go into loved, because I feel like I didn't enjoy it as much as book 5. It's also just been so long since I've read them too, so thinking back to it is kind of hard for me, because these are the books that I read at the very beginning of my reading journey. I think I'm gonna put Deathly Hallows in loved. I feel like there's just so much that happens in that book, like the Battle of Hogwarts itself, and you just feel so connected to the characters. Such a good finale to the series. Next, I think I'm gonna go for one that I know for sure is gonna be soul tied and just get it out of the way, and that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Miss Taylor Jenkins Reid. You guys know how much I love this book. I never shut up about this book. I love this book so much, these characters so much. I've actually been thinking about restarting the series recently. That was on Amazon Prime. I listen to the music and the soundtrack all the time. I don't know if it's just because it's a TV show, it's a book, and there's a soundtrack. It just feels so immersive to me. The characters feel so real even though they are so flawed. And this book is the book that really inspired me to start reading more literary fiction, even though I haven't even read that much yet. But even rereading it this past year just made me want to read more literary fiction. These characters just mean so much to me, and I feel like if there is any time somebody asks me for a book recommendation, this is normally at the very top of my list. I feel like it's such an easy read too. It's so unique for a book, the way that it's written in like interview style. I just absolutely flew through this book, and this was one of the books that made me fall in love with reading. Okay, next up we have the ACOTAR series. I'll be completely honest, I think I'm in the minority of this. I loved A Court of Mist and Fury. Obviously I rated it 5 stars because it's on the list, but I loved A Court of Wings and Ruin more. I think that they're both great books, and the original trilogy is my personal favorite, but ACOTAR is just so good. Like the politics of everything going on, it's just so incredibly genius. I've actually been wanting to reread the series. I don't know if I'll listen to them or like actually physically reread them. I don't think I'll reread these last 2 because I just didn't enjoy them as much, but I really want to reread the original trilogy because I love it so much. I feel like I do talk a bit about how I like ACOTAR more than ACOMAF, so I'm gonna put ACOTAR in Never Shut Up About. It might get put into Soul Tide just because I love the world and the characters so much, but I'm gonna be pretty picky about what I put in there. And then we're gonna put ACOMAF into Love because I do just love that book so much. I love the world, I love the characters, I love the universe that Miss Mask created, and those books are really good. I enjoyed them a lot. Next up we have 3 books from my favorite series of the year, which is Throne of Glass. If you can't tell that I love this series so much, here's my little shrine to it. The 3 5 stars that I have from the series are the 5th book, Queen of Shadows, the 6th book, Empire Storms, and the 8th and final book, Kingdom of Ash. I feel like I love these books all for different reasons, honestly. Queen of Shadows is my favorite. I don't know what it is about it. That book is just so crazy action-packed till the very end. I feel like if I'm putting any book from the series into Soul Tide, it's Queen of Shadows. It has to be. There's so many amazing scenes, so many ways that you get to know the characters more, so much great character development too. I feel like in Heir of Fire, the 4th book in the series, you get introduced to so many people, but in Queen of Shadows, you really fall in love with those characters and just really love them so much. So that has to go into Soul Tide for me. Kingdom of Ash and Empire Storms, I'm not sure where they're gonna go. I love the series as a whole, obviously, but we're talking about these books individually. Kingdom of Ash for me was a sob fest, and so was the end of Empire of Storms. I don't know. I don't know where to put them. I feel like they're not Soul Tide books. I don't know why, but I do also Never Shut Up About them. All 3 of these are obviously obviously 5 stars for me, and they will forever be 5 stars for me. I think I'm gonna put Kingdom of Ash and Sobfest. This one was just so crazy from the beginning, so action-packed. You're literally following so many different characters. It's the longest book that I've ever read, and it was also such a great ending to everything that happened. Now, I feel like the tier ranking of this all is almost more in a reason of like why it's a 5-star. I don't really think Loved should be above Sobfest and vice versa, but they're all like still 5-star. And then I think I'm gonna, is this not working? Hello? Oh, okay. And then I'm gonna put Empire of Storms into Loved. I just love this book so much. There were so many funny moments, so many iconic moments that I think of too. I read it as the tandem read, and I highly recommend doing the tandem read if you haven't. There's so many guides out there. I actually bought some bookmarks off of Etsy to do my tandem read, which I highly recommend. It was so easy to keep track of and know where I was at in the books by doing that. And I think the beauty of the tandem read made this book that much more enjoyable for me. The ending is just so heartbreaking and heart-wrenching too. Oh my god. We're not gonna talk about it right now because I will start crying. Okay, and then we have Heartstopper. We have volume 4 by Alice Osman. This is my favorite one. I feel like I never shut up about Heartstopper, honestly. I'm currently in the middle of this series too, and every time that I think about this book, I just end up falling in love with the characters more and more. I just love them so much. They've been through so much. And I also want to reread these too. Like, I just love this series so much. I do talk about it a lot. So I feel like Never Shut Up About is the perfect category for it. We also have the 5th one, which I don't think it's on the same level of like love for me if we're talking about these books individually, but I did absolutely love the 5th one in the series as well. I just love their story so much. And honestly, just at this point, the whole Heartstopper series is just 5 stars all around for me. They're just so cute and wholesome, and I love them so much. Okay, and then we have The Storied Life of AJ Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin. I love this book. I flew through it. It was such a fast-paced, cozy read that talked about like real life things, and I loved it so much, but I did sob and cry my eyes out at the end. So it is going into Sobfest. I think it still is a 5-star. It's just a different 5-star. It's not a 5-star that's up there with my Soul Ties. It's not a 5-star that I talk your guys' ear off about, but it's still a 5-star in its own right. I feel like I'm gonna have so much trouble with the Emily Henry books for some reason. I know where one's going, but I feel like I don't really remember reading Beach Read because it was so far at the beginning of my reading journey. Even though I do love it so much, I feel like I need to reread it. I've been like having this problem with a lot of books recently. Like, I don't know what it is. I think it's just whenever I'm in the mental state to where I'm like really busy or something like that, like I'm still reading and enjoying the books and the rating still stands, but I just don't remember it for some odd reason. Or maybe my memory is just bad. It could honestly just be that, because I don't really remember a lot of the plots of the books that I'm currently reading. I kind of feel that way about Funny Story too. I feel like I was so excited about Funny Story, and I almost did it a disservice by reading it too quickly because I was so excited about it, even though it is also a 5-star. I don't know. We're gonna come back to those. I'm gonna let those fester in my mind for a little bit. We're gonna do Powerless by Lauren Roberts next because I know where that's going. It's for sure going in Never Shut Up About. I feel like I've talked your guys' ear off about this book for so long. Reading Powerless was just a fever dream, but in the best way. There was so much tension and yearning, and it was such a simple magic system to understand. I loved our 2 main characters. I loved how we had dual POV. I loved the plot. I loved the trials. I loved everything going on. It was so fast paced. This is just the perfect recipe for a YA fantasy for me, and I just loved the first one so much. And it's going in Never Shut Up About because not only have I not shut up about it to you guys, but even to like Luke and my friends and whatever, this is my most gifted book actually. So like I love this book so much that I'm giving it to other people to force them to read it. I also don't know where to put Better Than the Movies. I feel like I could go in either Never Shut Up About or Loved. I don't think it's a 5-star at the time, even though it is pretty nostalgic for me because I did read it at the beginning of my reading journey, but I feel like it's just always going to be a 5-star. This is my favorite YA romance book. The giddiness and that first love feeling that it gets me is just unmatched, and the only other books that have given me that feeling was the Heartstopper series. I think I'm going to put Better Than the Movies and Never Shut Up About as well. I feel like I talk about it a lot, and I feel like this is a book that I highly recommend to people too if they're first getting into reading, because I feel like it's just a really good first book to read. Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber, the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, is definitely a sob fest. The ending to that one I still think about to this day, and I think it's been over a year since I have finished this trilogy. There was nothing of equal value to me. Are you joking? If you know, you know. That book just went so incredibly crazy, and this was also one of the first YA fantasy series that I really fell in love with. I think I read Powerless around the same time that the third one, A Curse for True Love, came out, and these both just sparked something in me to really start getting into fantasy. Now, speaking of A Curse for True Love, the third and final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber, we also have that one up here. I rated that 5 stars, and I feel like that was more of a 5-star at the time for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. I feel like I just really wanted it to be 5 stars and it just wasn't. There was a lot of things that happened that I kind of questioned, and I didn't really get the character motivations for a lot of the things that they did. And since I loved the series so much, I think I was expecting a lot more from it, and it just didn't deliver in that way for me, to be completely honest, especially from the high that the Ballad of Never After gave to me. I was like thinking about the Ballad of Never After every single day, and I think that I just hyped it up so much in my head to where whenever I got to A Curse for True Love, it just wasn't what I really wanted. So it's really just not a 5 star anymore. I feel like I would rate that more of like a 4.25, 4.5 maybe, but I also haven't read it in a while. It's been over a year. So that one's just not really a 5 star anymore for me. I feel like looking at Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros too. I read this at the very beginning whenever I started getting into fantasy as well. I feel like this one really isn't a 5 star for me either anymore. As I start to think more and more about the characters and more about little things, my book club and I actually talk about this book a lot, especially after I read Iron Flame and was expecting to love it so much and then I just didn't. I think I started to dissect the characters a lot more and think about what actually happened in the first book. I think it's still a highly rated book for me, and it's very nostalgic too, so it's obviously going in 5 star at the time, and this was just such a nostalgic time for like book talk in general. But I don't know, I'm not like crazy excited to continue the series. I think I'm going to whenever the book comes out soon in like a week or two, but I feel like the series itself just doesn't really give me like 5 star feelings anymore. I don't really think about them a lot. Could also be because I've read other fantasy series that I just love a lot more, so it could be like a comparison thing. I don't really know. I feel like the more I think about this, the more I feel like I just don't care as much whenever I originally read it. I feel like we should do these 3 books that are in between the Emily Henry books, and then we can go to the Emily Henry books. We have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and Reckless by Elsie Silver. I feel like Reckless was a book that I didn't originally rate 5 stars, but I just never stopped thinking about it, and I just love these 2 characters. I love their love. I love the way that they talk to each other. I love the way that they interact. I love the way that they both handled everything, and I also see a lot of myself in Winter. I don't think I'm exactly Winter Hamilton to a T. I don't feel like I give off like a cold exterior or anything like that, but I feel like you really have to take your time with Winter and really get to know her, and a lot of people just don't give her that chance to get to know her slowly, and so they think that she is somebody that she's not, and I feel like Winter always thinks that way too. She just thinks that people think the worst of her, and there are so many different things that I could go into as to why I think that I am a lot like her, but that's not what this video is today. I think I'm gonna put this in Never Shut Up About. I love this book so much. I do think that it was the standout book of the Chestnut Springs series, which is right here. I did enjoy the series as a whole. There are some books that I loved a lot more than others. I think I would say 1, 2, and 4 are my favorites, and I would really recommend those 3. Reckless, definitely, for sure, highly recommend. But Powerless and Hopeless, they were under a 4 star for me. I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy those ones as much. I don't know where to put these. I think I'm gonna put 7-Year Slip into Loved. I'm being really picky about Soul Tide. I loved this book so much, but I also feel like I don't really talk that much about it. Like, I feel like if I'm talking about a book, I'm not talking about this one, even though I feel like this would be one to where if somebody's asking me for a recommendation for a romance book, I would definitely give them the 7-Year Slip in like my top 3 recommendations. I feel like I say this about this book all the time, but this was the perfect way to do right person, wrong time, because they just can't be together, and it's not their fault. It has nothing to do with them. It's out of their control, and I feel like that is the perfect way to do it. I adored this book so much. I love their story. I really don't know what else to say about it other than I loved it, and it felt so real. Like, that's why I was so excited for Ashley Poston's next book, and it just didn't deliver for me, unfortunately. But the 7-Year Slip, the dialogue and everything about it just felt so real, and I love how much she talks about grief. I feel like she talks about it in such an open and honest way, and it just makes it so relatable and so beautiful. Now let's go ahead and do her other book. Why not? The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This was the first book that I ever read by her, and I feel like not enough people talk about this book. This one was also one that kind of snuck up on me. At first, I rated it a 4.75, but I genuinely think it's a 5 star. I also cried my eyes out to this book. I felt so connected to this book. I read this book so fast. Like, I don't know what she put in this book and the 7-Year Slip, but I just like ate them up. Like, I thought they were so good. And this one talks a lot about grief too. It talks a lot about having to face challenges, like inner challenges within yourself, about what people think about you. And I don't know, maybe that's like a common theme in books for me, that I enjoy a main character who thinks that people have preconceived notions about them for some reason and are like striving to like find their own identity. Maybe that's something that I relate a little bit too much in real life, but I love this book so much. I remember sobbing my eyes out on the couch. I stayed up late to finish it. It was just so good. If you have not read this one, I highly recommend. Ashley Poston just gives me the same vibes as Emily Henry does. Honestly, her writing is very similar to Emily Henry in my opinion, so I feel like if you like Emily Henry a lot, you would really enjoy Ashley Poston. Abby Jimenez, Yours Truly. I feel like I'm gonna put this in Loved. I love this book so much. I love the anxiety representation. I see myself a lot in the character of Jacob. I think that Brianna and his story is just so beautiful, and I love their love. Like, it is just such a beautifully done book. I'm questioning if I want to put it in Soul Tide or not, but I feel like if there's a Soul Tide book, I would know. Like, it's like whenever you have an instant reaction that a book is a 5-star read, that's how you know it's a 5-star read. Even though there are some that like sneak up on you and you need more time to think about. But I want to be picky about my soul ties, as I said, for probably the billionth time. So I feel like that one's gonna go into love. I love that book. I love the story. I think it was so well done and I enjoyed reading it. I also cried a lot while reading it. Now when we're talking about soul ties, I knew where Happy Loose was going all along. If you know anything about me, you know I love a book about friendship. I love a book with fake dating, and this book had friendship and fake dating in it. This book was so well written. There's so many quotes in this book that are so good. If there is one book that I want to reread immediately, it is Happy Place, and I might end up rereading it. I don't know, we'll have to see. I'm trying to wait until summer because obviously it's more of a summery book, but I might just do it now because I love the book so much. The vibes of this book, them in Maine, them going on this friendship vacation every year, them having these super close tight-knit friends talking about how friendship changes over the years. I feel like it's just so relatable, and I feel like everybody can relate to the friendship struggles that these people have in this book. There's a lot of relationship things going on too, but I almost feel like the relationship, even though it is so beautiful with Win and Harriet, it's almost like a subplot in a way to the friendship being the main idea of this book, and it is just so it's so well done. Like, I could literally talk about this book for hours and hours and hours on end, and that is exactly why I want to reread it immediately, just because I love these characters so much. I still don't really know where I want to put Beach Read and Funny Story. I think I need to reread them, and I think the reason why I'm having trouble with my Emily Henry ranking at all, like, People We Meet on Vacation and Book Lovers aren't 5-star reads for me, but I think it's hard whenever you have a book by an author that you love so much, and I feel like I'm just constantly comparing Happy Place to Beach Read and to Funny Story whenever they really are just like their own entities. I think I'm gonna put both of these into loved. I loved these books a lot. I love them both so much individually. I think that Emily Henry just has writing that is so beautifully done. I did sob a lot during Beach Read, more towards the end. January and Gus's story was just so beautiful. It's a book that I think I just really need to reread, like I've been saying, to know exactly how I feel about it. Even though I did love Miles and Daphne so much and I love their story, and I thought that everything that they did for each other was just so cute, and I loved how they were very opposite, but I love how they were also like meant for each other in so many different ways. There's so many like deep things going on in the book too, and they have their own personal growth journeys. I feel like these are definitely 5 stars. I do need to reread them again though, like I've been saying. Okay, now looking at our final 5 books, I definitely know where one of them is going, and it's the reason why I created the Huh category. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover is definitely going into Huh. I think whenever I started my reading journey and I read this book, I read it so quickly and it had me crying and wanting to know more, because it is more of like a then and now timeline book, or it's not more of that, it is a then and now, oh my gosh, it is a then and now timeline book. But there are just some things at the end that I think that I was reading it so fast and was so invested into the story that I didn't really realize what I was reading. I feel like the book is also very lusty and honestly just not really my taste anymore. I think whenever I started out reading, I was just looking for things that were like super fast paced, and I would get discouraged if books were like too long, and that was why like the Harry Potter series kind of slumped me out for a bit, and I didn't really know my reading taste because I wasn't really like that big into reading yet. And I think that if I went back to read this now, I would definitely realize more of what I was reading. I would be not very into it, and it's just definitely not a 5-star anymore. The only other book that I've ever rated a 5-star by Colleen Hoover is It Ends With Us. Now this was the book that really jump started my big reading journey, like where I wanted to read a lot more books. I started to watch BookTok and BookTube and all those things, and I did get into Harry Potter before that, but this was like my first like romance book that I really ever read, and it's going into 5-star at the time. Like, it's so nostalgic for me. I don't think it's a 5-star anymore if we're really gonna think about it and dissect it. It's probably just always gonna be my favorite book by her, and it is the book that like really got me into reading and got me started into reading more romance genre and just picking up different books and looking at different things and like wanting to go to the bookstore and all of that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's just very nostalgic. It's like the OG book talk book, but again, I don't really think it's 5 stars for me anymore. And when we're talking about another OG book talk book, The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood is so up there. I enjoyed this book so much. At the time, I think it was a 5-star. Do I still think it's a 5-star? I don't really know, but even thinking back, I just still think I really enjoyed it. I love Ali Hazelwood's work still to this day. I just remember being so invested in this book, and I stayed up until like 4 a.m. to read it. And I remember that being the first time I had ever done something like that or felt something like that for a book. So I feel like it is just a 5-star at the time. Like, it's very nostalgic. It's very, iconic, honestly, in my reading journey. I feel like there's so many books on here that were super big during the time whenever I first started reading, and I feel like I'm always just gonna remember those books and always be grateful for them to help me become the reader I am today and be as into books as I am today and help me create like an actual career out of it, which is actually crazy. Okay, 2 left. We have Abby Jimenez's Just for the Summer. I think I'm gonna put this into Loved, honestly, if I can. It's glitching out again. Oh, okay. Where'd that one go? Nope. Nope. Respectfully, One True Loves will not be going into just don't mind that for a second. It glitched out on me. But I did put Just for the Summer in Loved. I did love that book. I think that Justin and Emma's relationship is so beautiful. I feel like I talk about that book quite a bit. I love how she really just dives deep into a lot of real life things, especially with our main character, Emma. She had a lot of things going on, had such a hard relationship with her mom. There was a lot of other things that she went through that I really related to, and her character. And Justin himself just steps up for everyone. Like, he is such a king. Honestly, I feel like a lot of the romance books that I initially rate 5-star, like, I just want to end up rereading them again. I think for me, sometimes because fantasy and romance are so different and they're the 2 main genres that I do read, I compare my 5 stars in romance to my 5 stars in fantasies, and I don't think that's fair at all, because what I feel during a fantasy book and what I feel during a romance book are normally 2 completely different things. So I don't know, this video has honestly just got me wanting to reread tons of books. Now our final book, which will not be in the Haunt category, is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was another book I read at the beginning of my reading journey, and this book is a sob fest, honestly. Like, now that I've been thinking about it even more and more, I could think about this book all the time, and it has been almost 3 years since I read it for the first time. This book is so beautifully done. It is so tragic. It is so sad. It's also kind of like right person, wrong time. Like, she has to choose, and there's a trope in here that I don't normally enjoy, but in this book, like, it was just so well done. Like, I love this book, and honestly, like, I want to reread this book. Let me just say, I want to read this book too. I want to read every book on this list, I guess, honestly. I don't know, I'm looking at this now that I finished, and I don't really think I want to move anything around. I feel pretty good about where everything is, to be completely honest, and I feel like this really just makes sense for me. Having 3 books in Soul Tide also makes a lot of sense for me too, since I am very picky about my 5 stars in general. These are just the 3 books that just are me. Like, they just mean so much to me. I feel like if there are any 3 books that I will think about forever and ever and ever, they are these 3, and they're by some of my favorite authors, and they hold up to the test of time. I did this on tiermaker.com, and if you guys want to do this yourself, I will have it linked down below. I don't know if you can put your own books into it or exactly how that works, so you might have to play around with it a little bit. I don't really know, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on these books, any books that would be in your Soul Tide category, like your favorite books of all time that you never stop thinking about. Also, go ahead and comment down below the queen emoji for Queen of Shadows, one of my Soul Tide books, if you watch until the very end of this video, so I know who the real ones are. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. Also, don't forget to follow me on all my socials. I post on here on the daily. We got TikTok, Instagram, and also my Goodreads if you want to keep up with what I'm reading in real time. These are all always linked down below. And my battery's dying, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. I love you guys so much. Hope you're having an amazing day, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys. So that's just not a 5-star anymore. Eepy, eepy, eepy. I want to reread, oh my gosh, English.